Oh, good. Hey, everyone. Welcome for another Asian month. Now, this one is going to be very, very different for you folks. But before I'm going to tell you about this one, I got to start something here for you folks. One thing you should know about me, I don't like romance. Believe it or not. Nor, naturally, I'm not really much into, romantic dramas. They're not my thing. I mean, heck, Romeo and Juliet from Shakespeare? Romeo and Juliet is the only romantic novel that I really hate the most. That story always peed me off. But I do like other stories from William Shakespeare, but Romeo and Juliet. But unlike other romance that I've seen, the only kind of romance I do enjoy is romantic comedies. And I do enjoy romantic comedies, except these days, most romantic comedies here in America are getting kind of cliche. You know? It's just getting too cliche that it's not all that good. But if you ever watch any romantic comedies or any romantic comedies from Japan or China or from Korea, I have to say they make some really dang good ones. And their sense of humor when it comes to romantic comedies are just way off the chart. Absolutely hilarious. And of course, for this Asian month, this is a romantic comedy that it's also science fiction. That's why the Doctor Who outfit. This is a romantic comedy that none of you never even heard of. It was made back in 2008. And it's called She Cyborg, aka Cyborg Girl. Now this one is a pretty different story. Of course, I kind of think that some of the premise came from Terminator, because this girl who's a cyborg, she's from the future. How the whole story go, let me tell you. It all started with this one guy's birthday, and this guy, his name is Jiro Kitamura, who is played by Kaisuk Koida. That's his name. Please bear with me I'm trying my best to pronounce their names. Since I didn't get their names in my last review, I should tell their names in this one. Anyway, Jiro was about ready to celebrate his birthday. And he is like, I guess, 28 or something. Anyway, he was about ready to celebrate his birthday by buying himself a watch. And then from out of nowhere, he sees this odd girl, who is very beautiful, very attractive. But it turns out she's a cyborg. And the Cyborg Girl is played by Haruka Ayasa. Haruka Iyase. Sounds like somebody's having their firecrackers going. Anyway, all in all, he meets her for the first time, And it turns out she's from the future, and she ended up in a clothing store. I guess it's a lot better than how Terminator went. On Terminator, he just finds somebody who wear the proper clothes that fit him, and he tells them to take off their clothes and give it to me. So throughout the whole entire story, she goes into a clothing store and steals herself some clothes, and of course help him celebrate his birthday by dining with him. But of course, she didn't have any money, so she dined and dash. And then all of a sudden, the Cyborg Girl told Jiro to close his eyes and count to 100. And sooner or later, he will meet her in the future. So therefore, she disappeared. And then 1 month later, she finally returned. And did the same thing. Went to a clothing store, got herself the clothes, and shocked the store clerk, because she has electrical powers. Heck, even one time there was a bunch of guys who was about ready to harass her in the street. She shocked one guy, hit the other guy, but as that other guy was grabbing her hair cut his hand really bad. Ugh. What are her hair made out of? Blades? And throughout the entire story, she's supposed to be guarding him for the sake of the future. All because she fell in love with him in the future. And of course, it turns out that his friend from high school, he started hitting on her, but she whacked him in the face. Yikes. And of course, that teacher kept throwing chalk at him, so she grabbed the chalk and threw it back, made a hole in the blackboard. Whew. But of course, there's some surprising things that happens in the story. The Cyborg Girl, she becomes more like a vigilante because she remembered that he told her some of the accidents happen in the future. So, this is what she did. She helped a group of kids because they were having a soccer practice, but the soccer arena got caught on fire. She saved a bunch of kids from there. And then there was a kid who was about ready to get hit by a bus. She ran so fast that she pushed the boy away from the bus. And the bus just hit her, but no effect. And then there was this one huge thing that happened. It turns out that there was a former teacher who got fired, and he went completely bat-crap crazy. So she ran all the way to the school board, saved a bunch of young kids from that mad former teacher, who was about ready to kill them. Kill a bunch of his girl students. Good thing, too. And do you ever hate it at the middle of the movie that every time things are just going... I mean, in the middle of the movie, where things are going so well, and then at the middle of the movie, something bad has to happen, and it costs them to break up, and he never sees her again. Costs them to separate. I always hated that. It was all because they both went to a dance club, and he got interested on this girl. And as he was about ready to kiss that one girl, she slapped him, and she pushed the girlfriend away. The Cyborg Girl pushed the girlfriend away. So it kind of shows that she was jealous. And then here comes this story. It turns out that he was absolutely crippled in the future because there was a huge disaster happen. That's why she was set from the future to make sure that he is 100% okay in the future when he gets old. So this huge earthquake just happened, and pretty much all the buildings started collapsing. And then she finally arrived, saving him from all the shrapnel from the building about collapsing. And then all of a sudden there was this huge pieces of the buildings about ready to collapse on him. So she pushed him out of the way and it collapsed on her. And sadly the guy fell down into a hole hanging onto a pipe for dear life. So she tried to pull herself away from the pile, and it kind of, she just broke one half of her. So now she's crawling around in her arms. And she finally saved his life. And he was totally grateful what she did for him. And then the ground was about ready to collapse, so he pushed him away, and then she fell. A couple of years later, after that whole earthquake event happened, he started looking around, see if there's anything remain. And then he found her. Then 26 years later, he's an old man now, and they finally rebuilt her, made her better, and made him happy until the end of his day, where he passed out and died of old age. So, surprisingly, she was auctioned off, but it kept her memories to a new model of the android, of the Cyborg Girl. So what she did, she traveled through time and meet him from the beginning of the movie. And then she went back into the future. So, that's pretty much Cyborg Girl to you. Now I know some of you think, and since the society of this world we're living in right now, I mean, I've been hearing there's a lot of guys who are married to their sex dolls, their life-size dolls. They're married to them, married to a holographic girl, or married to a robot they designed. The reason why these guys are meeting those things, it's about the society that we live in, because it's kind of hard for a single guy to meet the right girl. And I find that sad. Kind of reminds you of that movie Her, right? Where Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with this portable phone. It has a voice of her own, and a mind of her own. Either if any of you find this, that romantic story romantic or creepy, but to me, I'm okay with Cyborg Girl compared to that other movie, Her. So I would say this movie was really good. So any of you are interested on watching it, you can find it to your video store, maybe Best Buy, or look it up online. Either which way you want to call it, Cyborg She or Cyborg Girl. Nobody knows who can fall in love with a robot. What, you think I'm a robot? Nah. Ow. Ow. So, I would say that it is very romantic for a Japanese movie about a robot girl who falls in love with a guy, and this robot's from the future. So I give it thumbs up to this movie. And this is my review of Cyborg Girl. I prefer to call it Cyborg Girl. And any of you like this review, please leave a comment down below, hit like, subscribe. And I know some of you are thinking, why don't I ever review other movies like I would? In due time, I will review some other Asian films that are not science fiction, and I'll probably get out of this and something with more white into my clothing. And if case any of you want me to review a Japanese film of The Ring or The Grudge, in due time. I am planning on reviewing Ringu, that's the Japanese version of The Ring, and Yuan, the Japanese version of The Grudge, but right now I need something in order for me to do the review of The Grudge. So, it's going to take a long time for me to find somebody to help me along on the on my review of The Grudge. So, this will be the last time I review something science fiction and get into something that's more suspenseful, maybe scary, for this Asian month. And sooner or later, maybe about 2 weeks, I'm gonna review an India movie. And believe it or not, it's similar to Harry Potter. So I'm getting out of my science fiction look and into my fantasy look. That means I'll be the great and powerful Oz. Once again. So, see you soon.